With markets right now looking for a break to all-time highs, something is happening that might make the average crypto investor quite moist. But what if I told you that the truth about what's happening won't leave you just a little bit wet, but completely, downright drenched, soaking, and potentially drowning in gains? So if you understand that what's happening to Bitcoin isn't just big, it's quite literally extremely big. Hit that like and subscribe, get signed up with Femex below if you don't have Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. And without any further ado, let's take a look at something that I think people are just not truly understanding. We have a price prediction here of potentially $5 million per Bitcoin in the next 6 years. According to this Journal of Risk and Financial Management analysis, Bitcoin will reach 1 million by early 2027. And within the next 6 years total, a target of about $5 million per Bitcoin. And a lot of people might be seeing that and think, well, Bitcoin hasn't even hit 200,000 yet. We shouldn't be talking about 1 million or even 5 million. But if you really, take a sneak peek, if you zoom out of what's actually happening, it becomes not only plausible, but if you actually, as we're going to even talk about in this video, really understand what's happening, I don't think that's far off whatsoever, okay? Bitcoin is at a 3% adoption in 2025, 3%. The equivalent to social media users in 2005 or the internet back in 1990. Yes, the internet back in 1990, when people were still talking about the internet as a passing fad, as something that will be no more influential than like the fax machine. And this is back in 1990, right? Think about it. I wasn't even alive in 1990. But from everything that I've read and researched, in 1990 specifically, let's just say most people didn't think that everyone would have a computer in their house. And actually 100% of people, give or take maybe literally one or two people on the planet, had no conception of what the internet would do. There was no way to even understand how big the internet was going to be, right? How many people were bullish on the internet back in 1990? Not many people, right? And if you're telling me that Bitcoin's current adoption is at the same comparative level to the internet in 1990, you have to understand, even with Bitcoin being at $100,000 per coin, you have to understand still how early that is. I can't say this enough. I fully, 1,000%, believe that looking at $100,000 Bitcoin 10 years from now will be the exact same as people are currently looking at a $5 Bitcoin about 10 years ago now. Meaning everybody on the planet with an ounce of sense that saw Bitcoin go to 100,000, if you knew that was going to happen, if you could take a time machine and go back and buy Bitcoin at $5, there is not a single rational person on the planet that would not take that opportunity. The only people that wouldn't do it are people that are lying or virtue signaling or doing some kind of weird mental gymnastic. Everybody would be buying it, right? So if that same thing were true, that $100,000 per Bitcoin will look small as a $5 Bitcoin looks now, then wouldn't you be hustling and trying as hard as you can to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible? Yes, if you have an ounce of common sense. To be fair, not everyone does, so some people probably would not be doing that. Right now, for example, Tesla could buy half of Bitcoin's supply at its current price. Now imagine when other FANG stocks or the FANG stocks and governments really show up big. Okay, there is a supply shock that is currently underway, but we have not felt the effects of it yet. And additionally, whales have bought over $100 billion worth of Bitcoin in just the last few weeks. Bitcoin is being gobbled up. Okay, it is happening in front of us. And when that supply shock hits, nobody can tell you the exact day, the exact hour or minute when it happens. But when it happens, you're going to see FOMO like you've never seen before. And one of the things I actually want to talk about in this video also is, well, two things. I want to talk a little bit about altcoins and why they're just not performing at all, right? And when I think they will. But more importantly, I really want to talk about the cycles, okay? The cycles, because I truly think the cycles are dead. According to Jason A. Williams here, Bitcoin cycles are dead. The days of parabolic Bitcoin booms and devastating crashes are done. Bitcoin is inevitable, and we're at the beginning of the sailor cycle. Are you positioned for the next 100x in Bitcoin? You can see the price action over the past a couple of years is kind of strange, right? Just going up and up and up slowly, more sustained and much more interestingly than I think we've ever seen. And I don't think that's going to be changing. Skeptics think that crypto cannot reach really high prices because they wonder where new buyers are going to come from. Well, there are going to be new buyers, but what if you were to learn that people that sell too early then also become new buyers, right? So there's not going to be a lack of buyers. There's a million different angles of where people are going to start buying from, who's going to start buying, how much they're going to start buying. And we're seeing the shift of this beginning now. Specifically, if we go back 10 years from now, or 10 years in the future, I think that truly this shift basically started at the beginning of 2024 when the Bitcoin spot ETFs were approved. I think that was the true beginning of this shift. Shortly after that, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high well before the halving, something we've never seen before. That was the very first nail in the coffin of Bitcoin cycles, meaning I think that was the very first fundamental piece of data that we had to show that these cycles are probably not going to just do what they've always done, with Bitcoin specifically. We also see, though, normies will never understand Bitcoin for the same reason the normal person is poor. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin, actually. It really does not have much to do with Bitcoin. And it has everything to do with money, economics, and value. And how many people around the world understand money, economics, and value? Not very many, right? Most people my age, and most people actually nowadays, are literally just sitting on TikTok, watching people eat Tide Pods or whatever, and do other weird stuff. They don't know anything about finance, basically, and that's unfortunate. But if you do understand basic money, if you understand basic economics and just value in general, then you will buy Bitcoin. It has nothing. It really does not. It's not like people start learning about Bitcoin and then all of a sudden, well, you can do that. But for the most part, if you understand truly how this all works with money and value, then that attracts you to Bitcoin more than anything else, because you understand how much better it is than any other option we've ever had. And it can lead you to Bitcoin. I mean, you don't have to start with Bitcoin. If you just learn about finance in general, and also it says here, stop thinking the masses will come. They won't. I think they will, just when Bitcoin is way too expensive for anyone to even afford, 0.1 of a Bitcoin. We also see that the path to 210,000 Bitcoin, according to Simon Gervovich, the CEO of MetaPlanet, they have a plan to acquire a lot of Bitcoin. 10,000 Bitcoin is their starting line. They want to have 30,000 2025, up to 100,000 in 2026, and over 200,000 by 2027. And we're seeing many other companies repeat this same thing that Saylor has been doing. CryptoGel on X saying if the mid-level of this 8-year-long channel breaks, targets for Bitcoin are way too low. $500,000, $600,000 plus per Bitcoin. You can see this midline, and actually this is something, these type of ascending channels are something that I first really got into probably back in 2018 or 2019, meaning if you take like a long-term trend like this and you put the highs and lows and it's ascending like this and you put a midline, very often the midline is where a lot of resistance occurs and then eventually becomes support. Right now we're right on one of those areas right now. So I personally think that we are very close to a much bigger breakout. Michael Saylor has also been appointed the official Bitcoin advisor of the government of Pakistan. Very big. Global liquidity continues to rise. Bitcoin is simply following. You can see that with this trend, Bitcoin should be heading up much higher over the next few weeks and months. And as well, don't look at the all-time highs. Look at what the lows are of each year. For example, 2021's low was 25K. The next year was 15, then 16, 38K, and so far in 2025, the low is about 75K. It's possible that we never see, after this year of 2025, it's possible we never see 100K or lower Bitcoin again. And Bitcoin is up 550% over the past 2.5 years. Now, one thing in regards to altcoin season, which is something I've been talking about and something I mentioned earlier in the video, since the very end, the last couple of months of 2022, Bitcoin dominance has exploded from about 39% up to about 65%. And we have had no real altcoin season this entire time, right? In a couple of years. And we will not have an altcoin season unless this chart starts breaking down. Bitcoin paired with, or Bitcoin's dominance, basically. When Bitcoin dominance falls off of this trend that we've been on now for like 3 years, that's when altcoins will start performing. But there is no guarantee that that's happening anytime soon. I think it will. I just don't think there's any guarantee. I mean, look at this chart. We really kind of maybe got close back in November of 2024, But look, like it only a couple of weeks and it was back on this trend, and Bitcoin started doing really well again. Bitcoin, I think, is now, we have so much evidence that this time is so much different than any time we've ever experienced in the past for the crypto space. Bitcoin is being adopted worldwide. It has been chosen. It has so much more infrastructure now and acceptance legally and politically now than it has ever had. If you would go back 5 years ago and you told me all the things that happened to Bitcoin, not in terms of price, but in terms of the fundamentals and the regulation, all that, if you told me exactly where we were right now, I would tell you this is the most bullish possibility for Bitcoin, period. But it's just getting started. That's the thing. $100,000 per Bitcoin is truly the beginning of actual adoption. As I just said in this video, 3% adoption. Here we are, right here. Look how much we have to go. And look at this chart as well going parabolic. The price of Bitcoin will go parabolic as well, okay? We are at the very beginning of this. And I don't think this thing is going to be slowing down. If I would have to give anyone advice, okay, I can make this as simple as possible. It's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to give you, it's not financial advice, it's not legal advice, whatever. I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing. And it's very simple. I am buying Bitcoin every time I get the chance. Anytime that I have money, all of my investment has been going into Bitcoin, period. And that's pretty much it. But get signed up with Femex below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, or trade. Without further ado,